The conspiracy theories regarding 5G have been very much in the air since its introduction. Most people have had issues with it, blaming it for coronavirus and whatnot. Most of them are pretty much hokum. But then if there's something that a company like SpaceX says 5G is doing wrong, then we gotta keep our ears open. In this video, we'll talk about how SpaceX says the proposed 5G plan is endangering the Starlink service. We'll begin with the dent in the Starlink program. As you all know, Starlink's a new program that provides internet services throughout a huge network of satellites. The main thing is that it is aimed at those people who live in remote areas and don't have access to high-speed internet. A pretty noble cause, right? Well, it turns out SpaceX's plan isn't going exactly as they thought it would, thanks to many new hurdles caused by other ambitious projects. SpaceX has put Starlink satellites in low-level orbit around the Earth to make connection speeds between the satellites and the ground as fast as possible. And for that to happen, a lot of low-level satellites are needed to provide full coverage of the globe. So this project has a lot at stake, and SpaceX is pulling all stops to make sure that Dish and other wireless companies aren't using the same frequencies as the Starlink satellites. It doesn't happen every day that SpaceX calls the media to talk to them, but when it does happen, like now, it means there's trouble brewing somewhere and they want to put a stop to it. SpaceX representatives during this media call repeated how damaging they believe it's going to be for Starlink users if the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, were to open up the 12 gigahertz frequency band to other terrestrial uses, like 5G. Now, why would SpaceX have a problem with that? It's because those are the ones SpaceX satellites currently use. The senior director of satellite policy at SpaceX, David Goldman, showed concern that if that happens, eventually the band would become unusable. And if that happens, it would potentially threaten to end services for its customers. So if you live in a remote area and enjoy the high-speed internet you got thanks to Elon Musk putting many satellites into space, you should be worried that 5G is about to take that away from you. Next up, the frequency troubles are old news. Dish's use for this frequency band is to hopefully use the spectrum to build its new 5G network. They're actually arguing their case, saying that their deployment would definitely be a win for internet access for all consumers. If you think this concern of SpaceX is a new thing, hold tight, because they've been complaining about this for quite a long time, and it actually began back in January 2021, when the FCC opened up the option of using the 12 gigahertz band for other uses outside its present abilities. SpaceX and other satellite operators, including Dish Network, have been relying on the 12 gigahertz band for years to operate their satellites, and especially in SpaceX's case, the Starlink mega constellation. So when the FCC put out the call, Dish and a company called RS Access, which is backed by billionaire Michael Dell, came up with studies for ways they could use 12 gigahertz for terrestrial 5G use. And that's when all this hoopla began. Next up, Starlink versus Dish and Dell. Recently, SpaceX has made it very clear their company doesn't want the FCC to open up the 12 gigahertz band to 5G. Not only that, but SpaceX actually filed a letter with the FCC arguing that allowing 12 gigahertz for 5G use would cause Starlink users relying on the band to experience harmful interference many times, along with a total absence of the service 74% of the time. When that didn't work out in their favor, SpaceX sent out emails to all the Starlink users, encouraging them to send messages to the FCC and important policymakers to make them stop making any changes to the 12 gigahertz band. The claim that SpaceX points out is that more than 100,000 people sent messages after their emails were sent to the users. They also argued that the lack of support for Dish means that their expanded spectrum for them isn't necessary because nobody's been asking for it. We can't argue with that, especially considering how much support Starlink has built for itself. They also argue, saying that they haven't seen anything from either Dell or Dish where they've been able to get any customers to file in for support of their service. Now, why would that be? Goldman says it's because they don't really have any service. He continued, saying that this is a spectrum speculation play, and it's not really about providing service. It's only about filling their pockets with new spectrum rights at the expense of people who are currently using their band and would lose service if Dish or Dell succeed. If they cared about customers, they wouldn't be so eager to take the band away from people. If you didn't know, Dish is impatiently looking for more spectrum it can use for its wireless internet when it builds out a nationwide 5G network. Now this service was launched in 120 cities across the entire USA to reach 70% of the country by June 2023 to comply with the FCC obligations. If they fail to do that, they'll be facing lots of fines. And right now, their network has only reached 22% of the total population, so we understand why they're in such a hurry to take over the spectrum and frequency band. They're pretty much running out of time and don't even have a year. But according to Dish and many other companies that are known as the 5G or 12 gigahertz coalition, all the concerns of SpaceX regarding the 12 gigahertz band are very exaggerated and wrong. They argue that SpaceX actually sent out manipulated filing to the FCC about the issue, a tactic which Musk has used previously too. This spreads a very negative narrative about the innocent people who want to use the 5G plan. We don't know what the truth is for now, so we'll put a stop to this and talk about some other related space news. Starting off with the billionaire playboy divorce games. Oh, we're beginning with some divorced men melodrama, and we're sorry for what we're about to do. People think that Sergey Brin is trying to insult his ex-wife, and they think he's using his history with Elon Musk to do it. Musk allegedly had an affair with Brin's wife, leading to their divorce. The key word is allegedly. Then apparently at a party, Musk fell to his knees, begging for Brin's forgiveness. This is all according to people with information about the event. But why is all that so fishy? People have been noticing that Brin is still fighting it out with his soon-to-be ex-wife in court over money. Brin's lawyers say she's asking for too much, rumored $1 billion. And if this Musk story comes out, it'll benefit him more than her, because if he proves that she was being unfaithful, he gets to keep all his money. And if she's afraid of more news about their marriage making it into the papers, she might be more likely to settle quickly. Oh, what games these billionaires play. Shanahan, Brin's ex-wife, has denied an affair with Musk, and an anonymous source close to her has told the New York Post that she's just a pawn in billionaire playboy games. We feel the same too. But what's the truth? We can't really say for sure. And if Brin really is behind the Musk leak, it makes Musk's reaction to the news funnier, because he said that he's seen Shanahan twice in the last 3 years and she's never alone. And he also said that he hasn't had sex in ages. We believe you, Musk, especially after the rumored haven't denied entry to a Berlin sex club just last April. Next up, how is Starlink helping in Ukraine? As Russian forces have constantly been advancing in Ukraine, the Russians have closed down Ukrainian internet services and tried to block social media, so they wouldn't be able to show the world what's happening to them. But then Elon Musk to the rescue. He made Starlink available in Ukraine instantly after the invasion began, and about 15,000 of Starlink's sets of dishes and routers have been shipped to the country. Say what you want to say about Elon Musk, when a war-ridden country needed him, he made himself available. Chris Hall says that Starlink has kept things going in Ukraine, like public services and the government, and the Russians haven't found a way to disable it. And not just that, it's also been used on the battlefield. And lastly, is Starlink creating space clutter? Not just Starlink, but his rivals such as Viasat and OneWeb, which also run satellite internet services, are putting thousands of satellites into low Earth orbit. Saeed Mostashir, the director of the London Institute of Space Policy and Law, says that that'll cause trouble. He said that it makes space less and less safe when it comes to collisions, and satellites could hit other vessels and create fragments of wreckage, and that could cause a lot more harm when flying at high speed. Starlink satellites are also creating problems for astronomers. If you want to notice something, go out during sunrise and sunset and try to see the sun glint off their wings. The possibility of this causing streaks on telescope images and mudding the view of stars and planets is very high. That's it from our side for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or thoughts about SpaceX's arguments about the Starlink services being endangered by the proposed 5G plan, comment below. See you in the next one.